be taking away any credit for anything when it comes to Paul Skenes and Mitch Keller. But I'm not inclined to just hand them everything when it comes to how well the team's performed of late. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Pirates 5, Cardinals 0, a resounding victory yesterday at PNC Park, and really one that ought to be satisfying for any number of reasons, not just that they're now 52-50, pulling within a game of the Cardinals, not just another series victory, not just that Rowdy Tellez had a couple more hits and a couple more RBIs coming literally off the bench as an emergency fill-in for Brian Reynolds, who had a back issue. Connor Joe with a 2-run double and a walk. But I got to tell you that the thing that leaps out for me about this one is the list of pitchers in the box score. Martin Perez, who I did tell you was going to bounce back. I did tell you this. He always seems to find a way, and anytime anybody's ready to bury him, and the same was true down in Arlington, he would find a way to prop himself back up. 6 innings, 0 runs, 4 hits, 5 walks in there, which wasn't all that comfortable, and a couple Ks, but look, he got the job done. And then the 3 relievers that followed had a scoreless inning each: Carmen Mlodzinski, Colin Holderman, and Aroldis Chapman. And you'll notice that David Bednar wasn't used in there. And that's the part that I want to bring up, because what you're seeing in a lot of cases of late are games in which the team's best players or the best pitchers weren't in there for whatever reason, whether it's manager's decision, health, excessive usage, and somebody else, especially when it comes to the pitching, is getting that job done. One more time, this was a shutout, and the 4 pitchers involved were Perez, Mlodzinski, Holderman, and Chapman. That, my friends, is the sign of a solid overall staff. Yes, we're all going to complain every now and then when a Josh Fleming or a Kyle Nicholas comes in and blows things up. But when you look at the winning baseball that gets played, or I guess since we're talking about the Pirates here, the winning pitching that gets put in, that often, but not always, results in winning baseball, you've got a lot of different names who are more than doing their jobs. And, you know, I just can't say this often enough, but it's not just that this pitching staff is worth supporting. It's that the whole roster is worth supporting, because the one thing that the winning has exposed, and yes, winning can expose things, is this team is now 26-19 since the 1st of June. I'm going to repeat that. 26-19. It's the 5th best record in all of Major League Baseball in that span. What you see when that sort of thing happens is that winning pieces will emerge, or pieces that you didn't think were winning pieces before become winning pieces. Some just stabilize. Some just go from, like Reynolds, for example, he goes from being good or very good to being the all-star that he's supposed to be. And his hitting streak, by the way, started on that very day, on the 1st of June, the 26-gamer. You also see certain players seize opportunities that present themselves. One that comes to mind is one that really hasn't had a chance to repeat itself just yet, but Quinn Priester comes in and pitches that game in Milwaukee, pitches really well, offers the organization another option. They'd like him ultimately to be more than a depth option, but if that's what he is in 2024, so be it. At least be a good one. Perez, as I mentioned, continues to keep himself in the mix. So when Bailey Falter comes back, and he moved one step closer to that last night by pitching 3 innings in Indianapolis, when Jared Jones comes back, although I wouldn't be anticipating that anytime soon. It's sounding like it'll be more in mid-August, but you're going to have even more options and possibilities. And then you factor in the bullpen, first off with Bednar getting right, then with Holderman and Chapman really taking by the horns their back-end assignments. Chapman's starting to just look like, the kid from Cincinnati, the way he's handling these saves. And you hope for someone, to mature. Mlodzinski's year didn't get off to a great start, certainly not from the health perspective, but he's now back there. A guy none of us talk about. Dennis Santana has shown quite well of late. Might mean nothing, might mean something. The pitching appears to be there at every level of this particular staircase. As for the hitting, that'll require someone injecting at least some semblance of competitiveness into the GM's veins. When we come back, J1Q. This portion of Daily Shot of Pirates is brought to you by our friends at North Shore Tavern. That's directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. It's home of Steak on a Stone, an eating experience, underscoring the word experience. The steak is brought to you partially cooked on an 800-degree stone, and you do the rest. It's a ton of fun, it's a great meal, and it's a baseball atmosphere like no other in Pittsburgh. North Shore Tavern, right across Federal Street from PNC Park. Today's J1Q comes from Eric, who says DK Paul Skenes is obviously becoming the story of this baseball season, and this level of attention that he's getting is something new to this franchise. Do you think that this might bring additional pressure to Bob Nutting and or Ben Cherington to do right by this team that they've never had to deal with before? Seems like a lot more critical voices would be engaged if they don't make an honest attempt to make this team better. Eric, I'm of the long-standing viewpoint that your local pressure will always dramatically outdo anything that comes from outside of Pittsburgh. I would hope that the reasoning for that is obvious, that being, of course, that you have a ballpark to fill, you have sponsorships to sell, you have suites to rent out. Almost all of that money comes from the Pittsburgh metropolitan area of 2.4 million. You also have local TV ratings to build up. You have local TV ads to sell on that local TV network, which, by the way, is now a co-share thing between the Pirates and the Penguins. All of that is local, where the national stuff tends to skew the perception, because I hear what you're saying, and I hear it a lot, is that it wins on social media. Whoa, they said something on ESPN tonight about the Pirates, and everyone thinks, wow, that's just maximum impact. Or, like, remember when the Boston announcers said something about the hodgepodge of nothingness, and they called out nutting on the broadcast? It had no effect. It's never going to have any effect. It means nothing toward the business of a local baseball franchise. Now, if you want to talk about Skenes and pressure, I've got it for you here, okay? On Tuesday night, 2 nights ago, right here in the city of Pittsburgh, 32,000 people attended a baseball game. Now, if you're one of those who says, yeah, but it wasn't a sellout, they were still, whatever it was, 5,000 short, what you're not going to know, maybe, is that it's close to impossible to sell 30,000 or so tickets on what's known as walk-up sales. Walk-up meaning the 24 or 48 hours before a game. Almost nowhere, and definitely not in Pittsburgh, do you have as many as 1,000 of those. It's just not how tickets get sold in the sports world. We talk about it that way. It doesn't actually happen that way. The Pirates sold an incredible amount of tickets for that game, considering how tiny their season ticket base is, how few of the season ticket holders that they have, meaning on partial plans, would have chosen a random Tuesday night against St. Louis. And oh, by the way, they had 19,000 on a Monday night just 24 hours earlier. Why? Maybe because people thought Skenes would be pitching in that one. They might have bought both games. They might have actually gone to both games. Either way, that impact is local. That impact is generated in the city of Pittsburgh and immediate environs. And I can tell you unequivocally that when I've talked to people within the Pirates and someone nationally will criticize them or whatever, they couldn't care less. They just laugh it off. But when it's someone around here, when it has an impact on the people around here, well, let's just say they have my number. Oh, man. I appreciate the question. It was a very good one. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.